Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got a video by Hoops Reference, link to his channel in the description below, titled Every NBA Team's Biggest Regret of the 2020 Season. So this is going to be a two-part thing. This video, he is doing the Eastern Conference, guys. So straight up, man, let me know in the comment section below. What regrets do you have from your team this previous season? Because me as a Piston fan, I don't really have any. Like, I know our team wasn't good, but as far as, like, regrets, I mean, there was nothing really to regret because everything's kind of regretful out there. So I guess maybe the entire team. I don't know, man. But let's hop into this and see what these are all about. See if we agree or disagree. Also, man, there's like 60% of you all that watch my videos, guys, are not subscribed, man. I'm trying to hit 100K. We're almost there. Hit that subscribe button. Would be greatly appreciated. All right, man. Here we go. No more interrupting.
It's very rare that a player or team maintains perfection, and even the best-run organizations look back on certain decisions they've made and regret it. No matter how big or small, mistakes are part of the game.
Yummy Bears.
So the focus should always be on minimizing
That's
them
the
and
Waiters,
making
right?
sure they don't have an impact on the team in that big of a way. Every NBA team does things and makes moves that they wish they could take back, and that's exactly what the topic of today's video is about. This will be a two-part series by doing the Eastern and Western Conference teams, and we'll be identifying the one thing that each of them regret the most from this
jersey,
year,
man. Look at that
with
jump
this
shot.
video being about the Eastern Conference. Some have made some incredibly head-scratching decisions, and others have only made some minor mistakes, but no team is perfect in this regard. Before we start, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated.
Yes, sir.
Now with that being said, let's begin. Going in alphabetical order by city,
veterans.
we'll be starting with the Atlanta Hawks, and the biggest regret this team made this year was failing to add more veterans to a team filled with young and inexperienced players. Yes, they do have Vince Carter on the roster.
Gotta bring back Al Horford.
The veteran of all veterans in the NBA, and his presence is definitely a plus, but he alone is not enough. The team is losing a lot, and with the players being so young, frustration has begun to mount.
Nobody's talking about Jeff Teague, though, leading your team.
Be made from inside the locker room, saying that the team
realistically, they need to re-sign Jeff Teague. They need to bring back Al Horford, get Paul Millsap, Kyle Korver, and Amari Carroll, and that should just be their bench.
Was missing a true.
I watched the hell out of that team,
that
man.
Commands the
be
respect
awesome.
of his peers while also holding them accountable. The players have a ton of promising potential, but without the proper guidance and leadership early on, the frustration will only build even more. Next up is the Boston Celtics, and the biggest regret of their season came when they drafted Romeo Langford in the lottery of the draft. Now, Langford is still young and very well
should have been the
prove
65th
to be a
pick.
capable contributor down the line, but both at the time of the draft and now a year later, better talent was available and also would have been a better fit for the team.
Where are thou, Romeo?
Brandon Clark, for one example. The team is already competitive, and they have real aspirations to win the East this year. And a solid two-way big like Clark, who is proving to be the steal of the draft right now, could have given the team good minutes.
Bro, what if he does get a girlfriend named Juliet? That would be, because it's Romeo and Juliet, right? That's Shakespeare? I don't know. That would be crazy.
Langford, who
that'd be the craziest story of the NBA season.
Most nights. The next team up is
disrupting
the Brooklyn
chemistry.
Nets, and their biggest regret of the season was disrupting the team chemistry and culture that they were building over the last few years. Last year, the team made major strides by making the playoffs, and the locker room was as cohesive.
Who's reference being too nice here? Biggest regret? Underlying notion? Signing Kyrie Irving. And choosing him over D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo and Kevin Durant would have been nice. Would have been a nice team.
Of a unit
and chemistry would have been intact.
But by signing stars Kyrie Irving
KD
and
probably
Kevin Durant,
came back,
along with
or
veteran DeAndre Jordan, that chemistry was shaken up a little bit. And Irving has made things better with the things he said to the media, such as when he identified who he believes were the pillars of the team and essentially threw everyone else under the bus. In the end, we'll see if the star talent prevails.
It's me and KD. KD even played a damn game yet.
Durant and Irving, now coming off of injuries going into next year, but so far it's off to a rocky start. The next team up is the Charlotte Hornets, and their biggest regret is the fact that they failed to trade Kemba Walker for anything of value before he walked in free agency. The Hornets franchise has been stuck in the middle of being decent.
We could have gave you guys Andre Drummond. We got damn Brandon Knight for it. We could have gave you guys Drummond for Kemba Walker, and both sides would have won.
and being bad for a while, and none of the moves they've made over the last few years have done anything to change that. Even when Walker was on the team...
And Hornet fans, don't be in the comments saying, well, Drummond was not worth Kemba. Well, he was worth at least probably better than nothing.
They really never had any real direction, and they just seemed stuck. They unrealistically held on to hope that Walker would re-sign with them this summer, despite them giving him no reason to believe that they would be able to...
Jordan said he wasn't worth the max.
And in that kind of situation, they should have flipped him for assets while they could, instead of watching him leave in free agency for nothing. The next team up is the Chicago Bulls, and their biggest regret is making Jim Boylen their head coach. When the team fired Fred Hoiberg, they named Boylen as the interim coach, and after that, things got off to a shaky start to say the least. His coaching style and intensity clashed with a ton of the players. He was on the verge of completely losing the locker room, and it was very clear that he wasn't the most well-liked. On top of that, the team hasn't really improved at all since he's been in charge, and yet, despite all of this, the organization
I said it looked like Kingpin from Spider-Man,
from being
or
just
Daredevil,
the interim
or
coach
Marvel
to
in general.
The official head coach, and gave him an extension. They definitely should have gone through the full process of searching for a new coach, and now they're in a tough situation because they didn't do that. The next team up is
not
the
trading Kevin
Cleveland
Love.
Cavaliers, and their biggest regret is not trading Kevin Love at the trade deadline.
Should be a
since
trailblazer.
LeBron James and Kyrie Irving have left the team, the Cavs have gone right back to
Could've
the
got
bottom
Melo.
of the standings,
No,
and
not
are now
Melo.
once again rebuilding.
Nurkic.
Their focus is on the future and the development of their young players. So for an experienced former
Whiteside
all-star
and
like
Azir
Kevin
Little,
Love,
maybe.
his goals are the exact opposite of the team's goals right now. He has made it very clear that he's unhappy where he is right now, and while he is past his peak, he is still definitely capable of helping a team with playoff aspirations. His monster contract is definitely
Gotta work
a
on that
factor
form.
that has played.
I gotta
into
work on my
him
form,
being
I'm saying. Like, I
traded
gotta
yet.
follow like Kevin
I'm
Love.
not
It's very
ignoring
nice.
that, because finding a team that would afford him and want him is not easy. But as we just saw with Andrew Wiggins getting traded and Chris Paul getting traded, monster contracts are not impossible to trade. Next up is the Detroit Pistons, and their biggest regret of the year is half-heartedly trying to contend.
I mean, yeah, when you go out there and you sign, like, you know, your top 7 players, you have, like, a history of missing, like, entire NBA seasons from major, devastating injuries. Yeah, we kind of all saw this coming. We all kind of saw this
Pistons have
coming.
been caught in the middle of the league for a long time now.
Hey, we're at the
and
bottom
they
now, though,
really
baby!
never committed to going all in on becoming a top team if that was their goal. The most ambitious move they've made is trading for Blake Griffin, but his injuries finally caught up to him, and the supporting cast around him and Andre Drummond was never realistically enough to make them viable, even in the East. Now they almost have no choice but to rebuild, and their starting point is going to make a lot of things tougher because of the fact that they never committed.
That's all right. We'll be good. We got Luke Kennard.
And their biggest regret of the year is not finding a Miles Turner trade partner. The Pacers are big-time sleepers in the East, and at full strength are definitely capable of...
Hearing talks of Oladipo to the Miami Heat, guys. What do you guys think about that?
Making some noise.
I do a rebuild about it on my main
to
channel,
put
Crispy Flakes.
Over the top, they could still use better.
Bro, my freaking nose is itchy. My God.
Turner and All-Star Domantas
Pissed me off. Where's
Sabonis
my
have done their
Frankie?
best to bring back a Twin Towers lineup, but they aren't naturally good complements to each other, and neither are great at defending power forwards, both being natural centers. They're overcrowded in the front court.
Who could they get for
swapping
him?
Turner for someone on the wing would have made Indiana scary. Next up is the Miami Heat, and their biggest regret of the year is waiting too long to trade Dion Waiters. Waiters is a player whose production on the court is very hit or miss, and his struggles off the court have put his career into jeopardy a few times now. At one point, he did have real value, but as time went on, that value tanked more and more.
He chose the gummy bear life over the ball life, unfortunately speaking.
On a trade for veteran Andre Iguodala, who has shown...
Bro, what about gummy balls? Like, it's like a gummy bear, but it's shaped like a basketball. But you could also have, like, a football, a baseball, whole sports attire of them. I don't think those exist yet, guys. $1 million idea.
Signs of decline.
At least a $20 idea. I would pay $20 for those. Like a 10 pack.
Up next is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I agree with this one,
biggest
billion
regret of the
%.
year is allowing Malcolm Brogdon to walk in free agency. There really isn't a whole lot to nitpick about the Bucks this season, as they currently sit atop the league-wide standings and are being led by the MVP. However, we saw last year that
Tony
being
Snell
in a
walk.
situation like this isn't the end goal, and getting it done in the postseason is the only
trading
thing
him, whatever
that
they
will
did.
be able to convince Giannis to stay in town when his contract expires. Losing a piece like Brogdon is tough because he fits so well, and with the amount of money the team already has dedicated to players, there isn't much room for growth moving forward. So if what they're currently working with isn't enough, then things might go south in the summer of 2020.
Trade Bledsoe.
Up next is the New York Knicks, and their biggest regret of the year is panic signing Julius Randle. The Knicks enter...
Yeah, I don't know what's worse. The fact that the Knicks went out there and signed all of these just like a little bit above average players, but aren't really that great, or they would have just not signed anybody at all. It would have just been like a skunk season. I think that probably would have been more responsible, but yeah.
The summer of 2019, confident in their ability to sign two
Julius was
superstars
nice on the
with
Pelicans,
cap
though.
space, but when no big-time players chose them, they panicked a little bit and threw a lot of money at middling players trying to desperately contend and rush things. The Knicks' focus after missing out on guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie
It's like a
Irving
6'9"
should
Luke
have been
Kennard.
to
Look at that.
continue to develop
Look at that
the young
lefty
guys.
shot.
But signing someone like Randle that commands the ball a lot hampers their growth. RJ Barrett is a very promising young player that needs the ball in his hands to be most effective, but with Julius Randle and his tunnel vision on offense, things don't really flow very well. Next up is the Orlando Magic, and their biggest regret of the year is paying Terrence Ross $50 million. The Magic got a taste of the playoffs last year and desperately wanted to stay put in the standings.
He's a great bench
player. So
player.
after a year where Ross was admittedly very solid, he has now reverted back to what he was essentially his whole career, being a streaky scorer on the wing whose inconsistencies can be frustrating. For a team that is spending $122 million on the team next year, the Magic are not nearly good enough.
I will say, though, they probably, if they choose not to play Bamba all that much, they could package like Bamba with Terrence Ross to take care of some of that salary real quick. Probably even Aaron Gordon, too.
To justify that spending, and paying guys like Ross that much money explains why they aren't as successful as they want to be. Next up is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, Hoops is a 76ers fan.
Is signing Al Horford.
So you know this one's true for sure.
This is legitimately one of the biggest head scratchers on the list because there are so many reasons to not have done this. Horford's been a very good player throughout his career, but the fit alongside Joel Embiid was always questionable to say the least. It hinders the already minimal floor spacing that the team desperately needs around their pillars of Embiid and Ben Simmons.
Oh, God. I just pushed all sorts of buttons, guys. At the time of them signing Al Horford, I remember everybody was saying, like, well, who's going to stop the 76ers now? Because, Joel Embiid, that was always his big thing, was trying to get past Al Horford. So if Al Horford's on the team, well, who's going to stop Joel Embiid? I mean, it's still injuries, unfortunately speaking.
And most importantly, he's getting up
what
there
did I
in age
do?
and clearly declining as a player. They desperately need to find a team to take him in a trade this summer, because otherwise, they're closing their window to contend fast. Next up is the Toronto Raptors, and their biggest regret is signing Stanley Johnson in free agency. Now, this is absolutely a nitpick of a choice, because in all honesty, they haven't really made a bad decision in a while.
Subtraction by addition.
And Danny Green leaving in free agency
was
bitch
ass Stanley Johnson,
and
man.
they won a ring with them last year anyway. Stanley Johnson was once a promising young player in the league, but now he's verging on bust status. And as a player who is 50...
He's been there. He's been staying a while, man. He's been there for staying a while. Straight up, man. Oh, my God. He got the annual pass to Bust City, bro.
15th on the team in points per game. He's getting paid the 7th most on the team.
Oh,
luckily,
my God.
That pretty much every other trade and signing that the Raptors have
Imagine
made
giving Stanley
has worked out in their favor.
Johnson a contract at all.
This one definitely didn't.
I got them some earbuds, though.
And finally, the last team on this list is the Washington Wizards, and their biggest regret of the year is not acquiring anybody that can play defense. The Wizards are one of the most overachieving teams in the league right now, somehow sneaking an invitation to the league's return in July and being in 9th place in the standings right now because they legitimately have a terrible roster for the most part outside of Bradley Beal, and that man has done a phenomenal job carrying them. The Wizards currently have one of the worst defenses of all time statistically and are dead last in the league this year. Yet,
how do you think NBA that bad at defense?
Maybe one or two more defensive
like, how do you make it that far?
Signings, they could have snuck into the playoffs. With John Wall coming back next year, they are going to want to compete, but realistically, they might be headed towards a rebuild in their near future. And with that being said...
All right, yeah, I would say these are all pretty accurate. I don't really disagree with them. The Stanley Johnson one, definitely the worst one of them all. As far as being, like, true and stuff, that's straight up just, yeah, Stanley Johnson absolutely destroying the Toronto Raptors. But yeah, man, that's all we got. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out Hoops Reference, link to his channel in the description below. and peace out, my friends.